Hey guys, this is Walker Heckman. Today I'm going to give you an overview of my gun collection. I've accumulated 7 firearms in my lifetime so far, and I'm just about to turn 19 years old, so it's a pretty big accomplishment to me. I'm going to show them to you in order from the oldest to the newest to me, and I'm pretty excited to get into it with you guys, so let's hop right into it. Alright guys, first one off at the old gun shelf is my 270 Winchester. It is a Remington Model 700. This is the first gun I ever got, and some people might be surprised by this because most people get like a 22 or something for their first gun. But I believe in 7th or 8th grade I had an iPad and I traded it for this gun. This used to be my brother's, and I think that was a pretty smart trade because a rifle lasts forever and an iPad only lasts a few years, if we're being honest. And some things I've done to it: I've put this big 12 to 29 inch Harris bipod on here. This makes, from a hunter standpoint, makes it a much more versatile weapon because this is my main hunting rifle. I've put a scope slicker on it, which is my favorite scope cover for hunting purposes because it actually covers your entire optic. And I also put this "I don't kneel" sticker on it just because I love America and I think it's pretty cool. Put an Allen recoil pad on it. Some people make fun of me for that because it's a 270 and they really don't kick that hard, but this just makes it feel like a 22 so I can be 100% no fear in my shot. And last but not least, I put a Butler Crick sling on it with 4 shell holders, which is nice because these bolt action rifles only hold 3 or 4 rounds, so if you can put 4 more rounds right there, you don't have to pack another box of ammo with you. And I use this gun primarily for all my big game hunting: elk, deer, antelope, all the above. And it suited me very well. For ammunition, I've found that I like shooting 130 grain Hornady SST Superformance, and this gun seems to like it a lot, and it's given me good performance so far, so that's what I went with. But yeah, that's my 270. On to the next one. Alright, second up is my Ruger 1022, which is most people's first gun, in my opinion. And I got this for Christmas when I was a freshman in high school, I believe, so I was probably 15 years old. And I used to use this as a gopher gun. I've never really been into target shooting or anything like that. But it's a basic Woodstock Model 1022. I used to have a cheap little Simmons scope on it, but I got a different gun, which you're going to see in the future. And I decided I wanted it back to iron sights. And my girlfriend actually likes shooting this when we go gopher hunting now, so she likes the iron sights too. But there's not a whole lot I can tell you about it, except it's your standard Ruger 1022, probably the most owned rifle in the United States, and I enjoy shooting it. It's pretty much just a gopher gun for me. For ammunition out of this old 1022, I actually use, I believe it's a Federal, and it's a target match, they call it. And the only reason I shoot that is because it comes in like a 330 round box, and it says ideal for semi-autos right on it, and that's why I bought it initially. I purchased a box of that and it ran perfect through this thing. I also have a 25 round extended magazine for it, and that used to jam like crazy with cheap ammo. But I switched to that stuff and it seems to cycle real good, so that's what I shoot out of it. On to the next one. Up next is my Benelli Supernova 12 gauge. I've had this for about 3 years now. I use it primarily for waterfowl hunting, pheasant hunting. It's a great bird gun, like everyone that goes bird hunting knows. And I used to try to turkey hunt with my bow a lot, but this year I think we're going to take the old 12 gauge out. So right now I've got it outfitted with one of these buttstock shell holders. I've got 5 turkey loads in it. And I also bought a turkey choke for it. And other than that, I've done pretty much nothing to this. I don't shoot it that often because I don't go bird hunting as much as I'd like to. But hopefully it gets the job done for us this turkey season. For shells, I either shoot just cheap federal target loads when I take it out to shoot it for fun. And for turkeys, I like the 3.5 inch Remington Nitro turkey shells. They're pretty wicked. They'll give you a bruise on your shoulder, but they'll definitely get the job done out to about 80 yards. And yeah, that's about all I can say about my 12 gauge. On to the next one. Alright guys, up next is my Ruger Precision Rimfire. It is chambered in 17 HMR. And this is a pretty big deal because this is the first gun I was able to purchase myself as an 18-year-old shortly after my 18th birthday. And it's pretty cheap compared to all the other bolt action 17s that I saw, and I've always wanted a 17. So I actually went with this. I mean, it looks cool, and I'm a big Ruger fan, and I'm glad that I went with this. I have a Nikon Pro Staff Rimfire scope, 4 to 12 power. I'm a big Nikon scope fan. Matter of fact, I forgot to tell you what scope's on my 270. That is a Nikon Pro Staff 5, 3.5 to 14 power. Excellent scope. I'm pretty actually upset to hear that Nikon's discontinuing all their scopes. I just heard that they can't really compete with the prices of Vortex and stuff, which is too bad, but it's looking like I'm gonna have to switch scopes here soon. But it's a pretty, other than the scope, I haven't done anything to it. I mean, it's already got a wicked adjustable stock on it. Already comes with a 15 round magazine. Has an Accu trigger on it. I mean, there's not much you really have to do to it. Does have a threaded barrel. I've thought about getting into the suppressor game, but that'll happen later in life because it's kind of crazy to get into right now. I like to shoot, I believe, 17 grain Hornady VMAX shells out of it. They are the first ones I tried, and the gun seems to like it, and they'll tear a gopher in half, so that's all I needed to do. And yeah, it's about all I can tell you about it. Let's move on to the next one. Up next is my first pistol, and my only pistol, because it's not exactly easy for an 18, 19-year-old to get a pistol in Montana, or actually in the country as a whole. You have to be 21 to buy one, but you can legally own one at 18. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but it's whatever. My brother, same one that I traded for the 270, had this pistol for a couple of years, and he actually bought a new one in the same caliber, and I was able to talk him into selling me this one, so that was a pretty cool deal. It is a Ruger American pistol, chambered in 45 ACP. I've done absolutely nothing to it except for buy a nice holster. I primarily use this when I'm bow hunting as my first and only form of bear protection, because I'm not a huge supporter of bear spray, even though it does work. And I don't really know what else to tell you about it. It's a good pistol. It's pretty accurate. It's super easy to take apart and clean, and I think that's what I like most about it, is how basic it is. For ammunition, I shoot this Buffalo Bore, I can't remember the grainage and all that, but it's this big Buffalo Bore 45 ACP plus P. It's a big solid lead bullet, and that's what I use when I'm actually carrying it for bear protection. It's got a little more knockdown power. When I shoot it for fun, I shoot this, I believe it's 240 grain Sig Sauer cheap ammunition. And yeah, that's about all I can tell you about this pistol. On to the next one. Well, things are starting to wind down here. We're down to my last 2 firearms, which I've purchased just in the last few months here. And up next is the Savage Model 10, chambered in 22-250. I've needed a coyote gun. I've wanted a coyote gun since I was a freshman. Can't really do much coyote hunting with a 22, and a 270 is just a little too much if you actually want to sell the furs. So I ended up buying a 22 250. I found this pre-owned, but barely used. It looks like it had been shot maybe 10 times and then cleaned. But all I've done to it is put this cheap white, I believe it's an Allen sling on it that I just had laying around. I'm not sure where I got that even. Actually it came with this Nikon scope on it, which was one of the reasons I bought it. I was like, well, that's cool. It's my favorite kind of scope. It's just the cheaper base Pro Staff 3-9. Probably put a new scope on it, which isn't going to be a Nikon because they're going no scopes. And I put these, I forgot to mention this in the earlier rifles, I put these Butler Crick flip up scope covers on, and I really appreciate the ease of use of those. But if you're taking a rifle into the harsh weather, I do recommend having a scope slicker as well. And the only other thing I've done to it is put this buttstock shell holder on it. Holds 9 rounds. I shoot, they're called Hornady Varmint Express 55 grain, and it's a VMAX bullet, which is basically an SST bullet. I love those bullets. They cause some serious damage. And I used to shoot the cheaper Hornady, they're like the lead, the Spire points, but I shot a whitetail doe with it this year, and it didn't really have the knockdown power I wanted. I don't really like seeing an animal die slowly, so I decided to go with more expensive ammunition, and I'm very glad I did. And that's about all I can tell you about this firearm. I guess we'll move on to the last, but definitely not least. The last firearm in my collection so far is an AR-15, which I'm assuming pretty much everyone was just waiting for this. I actually just bought this a couple weeks ago, and my main reason for buying it has no purpose for hunting and fishing, which is what I mainly do in my off time. I honestly just bought it because I don't think they're going to be around that much longer with all the politics going around. I don't even want to get into the politics. That'll be a 2-hour-long video. But I wanted to get one while we still can. I got a Nikon Pro Staff shotgun scope on it because it's the only one I could find that's low magnification. Because honestly, the max range I'll ever be using this at is maybe 200 or 300 yards, and that's plenty. I like it having that low magnification for close range. I got 3 30-round PMags for it. One came with it, and I bought 2 more. And I bought a crap ton of ammunition for it. Gonna be buying a lot more of it too. I've shot it just, I don't know, maybe 60 rounds out of it, and I'm pretty happy with it. This is actually a Ruger AR-556, which is one of those more budget $500-ish AR-15s, which seems like a lot of companies are starting to come out with, which I'm grateful for. But for being a cheaper rifle from the ones that I've seen on YouTube and stuff, it seems pretty awesome actually. Had no failures so far. It's super easy to take apart, super easy to clean. And I'm really excited to do a review on this rifle in the future. For ammunition out of this rifle, like I said, I've only had it for a couple weeks, but I've tried a couple different ones out. I'm a big Hornady guy if you haven't noticed so far. But you can actually shoot 223 or 556 out of this specific AR. And I first bought a box of pretty expensive 55 grain full metal jacket Hornady ammunition, and I ended up switching to a much cheaper American Eagle 55 grain full metal jacket. Came in a box of like 150 rounds for almost the same price as a 50 round box of the Hornady. And I ran a lot of those shells out of it, and there was no jams or anything, and it seems just as accurate. So I'm not dead set on what ammunition I'm going to be shooting out of this, but I'm leaning towards that American Eagle. Alright guys, that is my gun collection so far. I've got 7 firearms. I'm not even quite 19. I turned 19 in a couple weeks here. That's a pretty impressive collection if you ask me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I sure enjoyed doing it for you guys. I love talking about guns, and If you want to leave a comment, I will reply probably within 5 minutes if it's about guns. I hope you hit that subscribe button and hit that like button, and I'm going to start doing weekly videos, so be sure to see you next week.